I'm Tom Slavic. Welcome to today's news. It's Wednesday, and with me I have Carolyn Fagulia. She's a director of ACRA, but you're also on the cemetery board, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we're probably going to be talking about both entities, but we're first going to get around to the cemetery board. And Barbara McMahon.
Hi.
How you doing, Barbara?
Good to see you, Tom.
I'll have you on the show.
Thank you.
I think I've talked with you a few times before, haven't I? Okay, great. Good. And let's talk about the cemetery board. Now, when did the cemetery board, first come into existence?
Well, actually, I think you should talk to Barbara. She's one of the oldest directors. I'd prefer to think of it as one of the long-time directors.
So we're talking about how old I am, all right?
In 1992, the Board of Supervisors for Amador County established the cemetery board.
Okay.
In California, if cemeteries aren't operated by religious organizations, by a city, or by a private fraternal organization, they fall under the auspices of the Board of Supervisors. So they established this board for us to oversee the historic cemeteries.
So our cemeteries are basically then, not all of them, but the ones up here in Jackson are
the city of Jackson.
Okay. The reason why I'm stopping, I'm hearing some feedback. Could you close that door, please? All right. And so I remember, I think maybe one of the reasons why the cemetery board came to be was there was a lot of vandalism and damage being done around that time to the cemetery, the old cemeteries right up there in Jackson. And it was a shame. Yes. And luckily, I guess a board came and they helped deter a lot of that. And also, I think you also try to remedy some of the problems and fix things as well, right? Okay, we'll get into that. I just want to show off a little bit of what I knew, right? Maybe, okay. So, a lot of people, we have like new people who come here into the county all the time, so, they don't know much about the board. How many people are on the board?
We have 7 members appointed by the Board of Directors.
Okay, and what is and does the county direct, is the county one of the directors? Is somebody from one of the supervisors a director?
No, we are reported to the Board of Supervisors for the work that we do, but we are a separate entity, and we report to them once a year. They give us a stipend every year, and then the reason we're having the fundraiser is to get additional funds to do the work we do. Okay, so we've got a fundraiser coming up, and that's a good thing, especially if you like to eat spaghetti, and who doesn't? Carolyn, we also, you were on the board. How long have you been on the cemetery board? Oh, I think about 5 or 6 years.
Okay, now I know you're really very concerned about history. Your family's a long time in the county and really cares about the history. If you're a newcomer, I really like the history as well, and we want to preserve it. And there's probably, a lot of times when you maybe go cross country or something, you want to find out a little bit about the place. It's always kind of nice to visit the cemetery. Now that sounds kind of weird, but in a way, whenever I go to the cemetery, I look down there and I go, all the graves and how long ago, and then you also say, oh boy, this is like that person died very young, and all those kind of things pop in your head. And when you think about that, you think of like, well, yeah, a lot of, a couple of generations ago, a lot of people didn't live as long. A lot of people died from eating, wrong mushrooms.
That's right.
I think that's probably got more people in Amador County than anything. So we got a lot of mushrooms, and they don't know which ones to eat. So I don't eat any of them. They go in the yard.
It's okay. Our spaghetti sauce is very safe. We have good mushrooms in it.
Okay. No, I believe it. I haven't heard of anybody lately. Okay, so is that basically what the cemetery board does?
There's a lot. The cemetery board does restorations and keeps the cemeteries clean. Okay. So we have 5 that we take care of. We take care of Pine Grove, Aqueduct, and 3 cemeteries over in Fiddletown, the Oddfellows, the Masons, and the Fiddletown Historic Cemetery, and Dry Town.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I wouldn't have thought of all that.
Yeah. So we have these 5 cemeteries that have been...
Did you mention Volcano? Is Volcano one as well?
Volcano we've done some work in, but actually Volcano is under the Volcano Community Service District. Okay. So we work for them to do some work in Volcano. And we do that occasionally. We'll do work for different organizations. But we have, we go in and we weed eat and we do the cleanup
of the cemeteries,
Right.
but then we also do a lot of restoration there, fixing stones, fixing curbing, that sort of thing. And it's marking graves that haven't been marked, but we know who's there. We've done that also.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Is there spaces still in the cemetery for people?
I think it depends on which cemetery you're...
Okay, so depending on the cemetery.
Generally speaking, for the historic cemeteries, there are limitations to who can be buried there.
Okay.
You either have to be a longtime resident of that location or you have family already buried there. But people moving in next week would not be able to do it, most likely. We are limited, as you can imagine. The old ones only have so much land, and there's not a lot of spaces left in them.
Okay. All right. Have we covered a lot of just the basic cemetery? You know, what
Sure.
people would want to know about?
Other than to see the work that we've done.
Okay, well, that's where we want to go next then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought some slides along, and why don't we take a look at the first slide? What do we
Okay.
see there?
Okay.
You look that way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right here?
So this was a grave site that was in Volcano, and there was a pine tree growing up through the middle of that stone.
Oh.
So we went in and we had to clean out the brush and clean out and cut down the tree, and then the next should show us the result. So then we fixed the stone, we mended it, and we placed it in a concrete slab and cleaned up the plot, generally cleaned up around the curbing. This one was one that was laying in the grass. And this is the process of cleaning it up. So, you know, we have to glue the stone together, but also lay a concrete slab down.
Okay, let me stop right there for a second. What do you use to glue the stone together, to put it back together?
It's a special glue that we found, you know, went online, did a lot of research, and there's specific epoxies, I guess you would call it, that we've managed to find that are good. You know, some of the ones that have been used in the past deteriorate, but this is it's meant for gluing stones.
Okay, that's pretty good. Now, what's next? What do we have next?
So I think that's the finished product on the one we just saw.
Okay, now, is that one on the...
And
these are on the ground? Were they always on the ground?
They were on, you can see that one has a pedestal.
Okay.
And that one was, again, on the ground and broken. So many of our stones are in that kind of condition.
Is a lot of
And
that naturally broken, or is that probably just
over
neglect?
time,
Or?
yeah. And that's the same stone after that one we sat up. We were able to glue it in such a way and set it straight up on the, and had to create a new pedestal for it.
Okay, let's leave it on that slide for a second, or come back to us, and let me talk to you about that. Is there a cost to people, or is this something that you do, that you
Well, that's why we
where
have
you
the
need money
spaghetti
to do this?
Yeah.
Okay?
That's why
And so
we
you
need-
got some stipend from the Board of Supervisors, but not enough to take care of all of the work that you have to do.
Right.
Does it cost, what was the approximate cost to do that? I mean,
I think
it's
we're looking
probably
at
volunteer
$200 to
time.
$400 per stone to do that, and we actually went out and hired somebody to do the work.
Okay.
I do want to say though that 4 years ago we were looking at the stipend and realizing that we needed more money, and at that time Tracy was the executive director, Tracy Towner.
Sure.
And of course she's an expert at fundraising. So the cemetery board went to Tracy and asked her, you know, will you help us do a fundraiser? And that's how the Spagetti Feed started.
Okay. All right. So you're hearing about that Spagetti Feed. We're gonna let you know about it. But let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
See some more of the work that you've done. Okay.
Okay. Sometimes we have places where we know who's buried there, but the marker is deteriorated or doesn't exist anymore. So we bought these brass plaques and insert them in a concrete. This cemetery here is the Fiddletown Oddfellows Cemetery. And the first time we visited was in May, and it was so full of poison oak and shrubs and tall weeds that we would not go in there. We were afraid of rattlesnakes and poison oak.
Right.
And we came in there and started cleaning it as soon as the season, you know, winter came in,
Right.
and turned it into, it's park-like. It's park-like.
Yeah, it sure looked very pretty, very picturesque.
This is in Fiddletown Cemetery, and that site was completely hidden. Nobody even knew it was there. We went in and we cleaned up around it.
What
And
were we
then-
looking
and
at?
then,
Let's go back
fix
one
it.
for a moment. What, that looks like that's a depression.
It was just so covered over with weeds and such, and just kind of stumbled on it.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the old
I see.
Families put curbing around their plots to
Okay.
delineate.
So that's
and
what
that's
that
what you're seeing. And they built theirs high
All right.
so that it looks depressed, but it's just the way the curbing was
There's
built.
a lot of weed whacking
Yeah,
going
a
on
lot.
around there.
Every year there's a lot of weed whacking and mowing going
Okay.
on.
Is there something that keeps
And this
people,
was-
like
this
the
is what it
families,
looked like
from, cleaning the cemetery?
Well, a
or
lot
is
of
it
the
just something
families-
that's never done? Is that
The families are just not here anymore.
Okay.
I mean, these are historic cemeteries, and so we're working with stones that are from the 1800s for the
Right,
most part.
right. Most
Okay.
of these are the 1800s, early 1900s. So they're 100 years or more older. Families are gone.
Okay, all right. Okay, and now,
And again, that's what the one looked like after we cleaned it up.
is that the same one? Or?
Yes, that's the same one.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And we had to set the stones back up on pedestals and put one in a concrete base there. So
Okay, now those just glued in there, or do you drill up to the bottom or something and set those so that they...
he does glue them in.
I was kind of thinking, wonder they
Yeah.
rebar
But they usually have
or put
a-
anything in there? Like,
Yeah, they have
What would you call that? A foot on it.
It's
Yeah.
like, what do they call it, the biscuit?
There you
They
go.
have something up, and then the tombstone itself sits on top of it to give
Okay.
it a little bit of stability.
Okay.
And then the...
We're going to have to take a break. We'll be
Okay.
right back. Stay with us.
Okay.
Back. And Carolyn just told me you're a grandmother again, right?
Yes, yeah. My
So
son
tell
Jason.
everyone here for a second.
Oh, my son Jason and Noelle had their first child. It's a little girl, Eleanor Ryan
Okay.
Smith.
Oh, beautiful
And
name.
she was born Saturday.
Cool.
That's great.
yeah.
Okay. Real good. And that's wonderful. All right, now we're going to get back to the cemetery. Do we have any more pictures?
No, I didn't bring any more.
Okay. All right. Good. Now, let's talk a little bit about these cemeteries. You say, like, they're historic, and a lot of times there's no records. Larry Sonato must have hated that.
Yes. He did.
So I'm sure he was trying like heck, and I know you, being a historian as well, want to know as much as you can about the people and their families, things like that. So how do you get records for that?
We, the Amador County Genealogy Group, has gone in and transcribed the tombstones of most of the historic cemeteries. And we've put it up on our website, the Amador County Cemetery Board website. So, if you think you have someone buried in Jackson, you can go under Jackson Cemetery and read the list of the tombstones. Unfortunately, if there are no tombstones or if they're illegible, we don't know who's buried there.
Okay.
And if you're fortunate enough to find your relative, then you can go into the archives or into the library and look up their obituary, and they'll give you more information about it.
I was a little curious. How about down at the mine, the Kennedy, and they put a lot of history online down there. Do they have any of this history there? Do you know?
I don't think they have much about the cemetery,
it's just
unless
mostly
it's miners that passed
mostly
away.
from the miners
especially for the
side of
miners.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking a little bit off camera, years ago, and I guess your son, he must have been in high school then,
Yeah.
teacher Mr. Keith Davis, who used to do a lot of our sports football, he put on a marvelous program, I think it was for advanced history at
Yes.
Argonaut, where the students took on the roles of the
They went up to the cemetery in Jackson and picked out families or individuals and researched them. So they learned how to do research, utilizing the county records, utilizing the newspaper records, and then after they finished their research, they dressed up as their person and went up to the cemetery and performed.
It was marvelous.
Yeah.
You walked up to the gravesite, and the person would say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. I was buried here, and this is where I came from. I landed from Italy, and
Yeah,
I
right.
married so-and-so, and we had 2 kids. 3 of them died, and very young. I mean, it was amazing. And I really learned a lot about the history and about the conditions of living in the times, and also tying a lot of those people to some of the names that are still here.
Yes.
It was just a marvelous program. I wish they would do that again.
Well, unfortunately, I think the school ran out of funding for those kind of special programs.
Oh, okay.
The state dictated that they have to do other programs, and so, you know,
Okay.
I talked to Mr. Davis several times over the years to see if he could do something like that again. And it just couldn't happen. Just couldn't
Okay,
happen.
we have it on tape. We'll put it on YouTube
There
sometime.
you go.
It was just marvelous. Okay, we're not going to run out of time anytime soon, but we want to start talking about all of this costs a lot of money. We just found out that we can't have these programs because there's not enough money. And interestingly enough, like that song, Money, Money Makes the World Go Round, it really does. Like when you get this work done, there could be volunteers, but sometimes you need specialists. And even at volunteers, a lot of people have time, but you know, time's worth a lot to some people. You follow exactly what I'm saying. Volunteers can do some things, but you need some paid professionals, or just the tools to be able to do that. And I mean more than just.
And you have to be very careful. If you are a volunteer and you go in there with a weed eater, you can do a lot of damage.
Right.
If you hit a stone or something like that, so you just have to be very careful. And we really don't use volunteers that much. The CYA camp goes in and cleans up Pine Grove, but other than that, we mostly take care of it. I guess you'd call it in-house, and hire people that we can trust to go in there and do the work.
Now, does ACRA have a part in this as well? Or does ACRA just partner up for this fundraiser that we're going to talk about? Okay, so we're having a great spaghetti feed. And tell us about the spaghetti feed.
Well, this is our 4th annual, and it's been very well received by the community all along. We're just very, very happy with it. It's relatively inexpensive. It's $15 per person or $25 per couple. And we serve spaghetti with a meaty red sauce. We serve pesto, garlic bread, dessert, and salad. And this year our dessert's going to be by Kathy Simmons. She's well renowned for her desserts. Unfortunately, last year she wasn't able to do it. We have plenty of wine, soda, water.
Okay.
And
well, let's find out. You're looking at this. Where is it?
It's at the Sutter Creek Auditorium.
At the, okay, great place.
On January 30th, and doors open at 5:30.
Okay. And what day of the week is that?
That's Friday.
Friday?
Uh-huh.
All right, great. So, are there 2 kinds of spaghetti?
Well, we have the spaghetti with the red sauce, and we have the pesto.
Okay.
So you have to have pesto in Amador County.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so, too. It's my favorite. I never had pesto until I came to Amador County. Don't we call it gravy?
Well, I do.
Okay. Right. Some people call it sauce, but when you're in Amador County, we call it gravy.
Well, you know, my grandmother used to make an Italian gravy, and it's more brown. And I make it. It takes 24 hours to cook, and by the time it's done, it's more of a brown color. But it's really tasty.
Sure is.
And what was fun for me was one day I was watching Viva, you know, on the show, the restaurant.
Yeah.
And she had the exact same recipe as my grandma.
Oh.
I thought we were unique.
You shouldn't have put that on Facebook. Oh, you didn't have Facebook back then, huh?
I didn't.
All right. And so this is going to be a fundraiser. Now, this is along with ACRA, so ACRA has helped putting this on, and the cemetery board. And how much money did you raise last time? Does anybody have an idea?
Oh, I think that we raised about $5,000. Seems about right.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we, you know, after expenses, we split the proceeds.
Okay. All right. No, that's really good. And well, we talked about I guess we talked enough probably about what the cemetery board does with the money and what they have, and you have quite a few cemeteries, a lot more than I thought that you're taking care of. And you know, and $2,500 doesn't go too far in today's world.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I mean,
it really
sounds like a lot of money unless you're an adult.
Yeah. Once you pay for the weed eating, and some spraying. You have to do some spraying. We have some star thistle coming up in some of the cemeteries. Right. Once you do the weed eating and spraying, there's always brush trimming. Some of the cemeteries had a lot of brush, had a lot of poison oak, a lot of shrubs, growing up through some of the curbings, and we've had to repair wrought iron. We've had to rebuild some of the fences that surround the graves. It's costly.
I think it's remarkable. Now, is this the only fundraiser that the cemetery board has?
Yes, we just do one a year.
All right. Well, let's move on to ACRA, and you know about ACRA.
I do.
Right?
I do.
Now, ACRA's got a great thing that's happening, and that's called Saturday at the Hub.
Right. We had such a successful Christmas at the Hub.
Okay.
Children's Christmas. We had we opened it up every Saturday after Christmas Delights. We had it open for that weekend. And parents would bring their children in there, and it was the same parents every weekend and the same kids over and over again. They just loved it. And when they came up to us and said, can you do that during, every month? Can you open the Hub up one Saturday a month so we can bring our toddlers and our preschoolers primarily in and have a place for them to go and play? And we had a lot of elementary schools. We even had some high school students come in.
Okay.
And it was so popular that we said, okay, we'll try it. We will.
Those high schoolers like those arts and crafts, huh?
Well, they like the ping pong and the pool and the air hockey and that sort of thing.
That's good,
so
too,
because
the younger kids get the
bounce houses and that sort of thing.
Bounce houses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And we had we're going to have a movie as well, so that we're just trying to see what.
Let me read some of these things that we might be looking at over there. You've got the play pool. That's pool, the kind like the pool that you shoot. Air hockey, ping pong, foosball. You got projects, and that sounds pretty neat. Activities, group games, and movies, and much more.
And
wait, there's still more. The children of all ages are invited, and they can bring your parents too. The parents probably.
We have couches.
They stay?
They just sit down on the couches and watch their kids play for hours. That was our
and
experience.
they need to do that. And when I was young, I always remember, Saturday, we got dropped off, I think, at a show, like when it opened, and, they pick us up at about 8. I think you saw the movie like 5 times, 2 movies or whatever. But, Mom and Dad needed a day off, right?
Yeah. And this is a great opportunity for parents if they want to leave their kids off and go shopping. They're more than welcome to. We'll have
or go back home and clean the house.
Right. We'll have plenty of staff there to watch the kids and all kinds of things happening. So we're hoping that it's a hit, because if it is, then we will continue doing it.
Well, it seems to me like it'd be a hit. You've had some really fun things up there, having you right above. When I go on out and stuff, I see kids at night coming on up, and then they're PJs. I go like, what is there, a Halloween party going on? And they say no. Well, anyway, so remember, that Saturday at the Hub has already started. So
it's going to be this Saturday. This Saturday.
Is it the 3rd Saturday then?
Well, we're looking at the calendar.
Just watch the calendar and stuff like that.
It's going to be on Saturdays towards the end of the month, either the 3rd or the 4th Saturday, depending on what's going on with the.
Okay. We got to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming by, and we really appreciate you coming by.
And
eat that spaghetti, and if you got some kids, take them up to the Hub. Thanks for watching TSPN's News. We'll catch you again next time.